Gabriel Morrison adjusted his collar for the third time, scanning the dimly lit restaurant with growing unease. At 35, he had built a successful career in corporate law, climbed every ladder his ambitious nature could find, and carefully curated a life of achievement and control. Blind dates were not part of that plan. But his sister had been relentless. "You work too much, you date too little, and you're going to end up alone with your law books," she had said. "Just meet her. One dinner. What's the worst that could happen?" So here he sat, waiting for a woman named Sophia, knowing nothing except that she was a teacher and, according to his sister, exactly what you need. When she walked in, Gabriel's breath caught. She moved through the restaurant with quiet grace, her honey blonde hair falling in waves past her shoulders. She wore a simple cream blouse and dark jeans. Nothing flashy, but there was something luminous about her. Something that made every other person in the room seem slightly out of focus. She spotted him and smiled, a gentle expression that held something he couldn't quite identify. "Gabriel?" she asked, approaching the table. "Sophia," he replied, standing quickly. "It's nice to meet you." "Is it?" she asked softly, and there was something in her tone that made him pause. They sat down, and Gabriel launched into his usual first date routine. Save questions about work, hobbies, interests, the practiced small talk of someone who had been on too many unsuccessful dates to invest too much too soon. Sophia answered each question thoughtfully, but she watched him with an intensity that felt familiar yet unplaceable, like trying to remember a dream that slipped away upon waking. "So, you're a lawyer," Sophia said after the waiter took their order. "Corporate litigation, that must keep you busy." "It does, long hours, high stakes. But I enjoy the challenge." "You always did like a challenge," Sophia said quietly. Gabriel frowned. "I'm sorry?" Sophia set down her water glass, her expression shifting to something sadder, wiser. "You don't remember me, do you?" The words hung between them like an accusation wrapped in disappointment. Gabriel's mind raced. Had they met at a conference? A mutual friends party? He studied her face, searching for recognition that refused to come. "I'm sorry," he said carefully. "Have we met before?" "Yes," Sophia said simply. "We met 17 years ago. You were 18. I was 16. It was the summer before you left for college." The restaurant sounds seemed to fade. Gabriel felt his chest tighten as fragmented memories began to surface, hazy and incomplete. "Riverside Community Center," Sophia continued, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. "You were volunteering there as part of your college application requirements. I was in the youth program." Gabriel closed his eyes, and suddenly he could see it. The community center with its worn basketball courts and chipped paint. He had volunteered there for exactly 6 weeks, the minimum required to look good on his applications to law school. "There was a girl," he whispered, the memory sharpening. "Quiet. Always reading in the corner." "That was me," Sophia confirmed. "Sophia Hayes, though I go by Sophia Bennett now. Married name, briefly, now divorced." Gabriel's mind flooded with images. A teenage girl with wide eyes and a nervous smile. She had been so shy, barely speaking above a whisper. And he had been kind to her, hadn't he? He had talked to her when others ignored her, made her laugh, encouraged her to join activities. "You were different from everyone else there," Sophia said, her voice soft with memory. "The other volunteers treated us like charity cases, like we were problems to be solved. But you talked to me like I was a real person. You asked what I was reading. You remembered my name." "I remember," Gabriel said, though the memories felt thin, like looking at old photographs through fog. "Do you remember the last day?" Sophia asked. Gabriel shook his head slowly. "You were leaving for college. I brought you a card I had made. Nothing fancy, just construction paper and markers. I thanked you for being kind to me, for making that summer bearable." Sophia reached into her purse and pulled out a faded, worn card. She placed it on the table between them. Gabriel recognized his own teenage handwriting on the envelope. "You wrote me back," Sophia said. "You told me to stay strong, to keep reading, to remember that I mattered. You said that where I came from didn't determine where I could go." Gabriel picked up the card with trembling hands. The paper was soft from years of handling, the creases deep from being folded and unfolded countless times. "I kept it," Sophia said quietly, "through everything that came after. Foster homes, aging out of the system, working 3 jobs to put myself through community college. Every time I wanted to give up, I read your words. They reminded me that someone had once seen worth in me. Sophia, Gabriel's voice cracked. "I became a teacher because of you," she continued. "Because you showed me that sometimes one person paying attention can change everything. I wanted to be that person for other kids who felt invisible." Gabriel felt something break open inside him. "I don't deserve this. I barely remember that summer. I was just checking boxes for my college applications. I wasn't trying to change anyone's life." "I know," Sophia said gently. "That's what made it matter. You were kind without needing credit for it. You saw me when you had no reason to notice I existed." "Why didn't you say something when we first sat down?" Gabriel asked. "Because I wanted to see if you had stayed the same. If that kind young man was still there underneath the expensive suit and the successful career." "And?" Gabriel asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. Sophia smiled sadly. "You've accomplished so much, Gabriel," your sister told. "All about your career, your achievements. But you've also forgotten things. Important things. Like what? Like the fact that success without compassion is just noise. Like the fact that the most important moments in our lives are often the ones we don't even realize we're living. Like the fact that being remembered for your kindness matters more than being remembered for your accomplishments." Gabriel sat back, feeling exposed in a way no courtroom cross-examination had ever managed. "This whole dinner," he said slowly, "you've been testing me." "Not testing," Sophia corrected, remembering, and maybe hoping. Hoping for what? That the boy who wrote those words still existed somewhere. That success hadn't completely erased him. They sat in silence for a long moment. The waiter brought their food, but neither moved to eat. "I'm sorry," Gabriel finally said. "I should have remembered. You clearly meant something, made an impact, and I just filed you away like a completed task." "You were 18, Sophia said. "You had your whole life ahead of you." "I understand why I didn't stick in your memory. But I need you to understand something too." "What's that?" "You can't go through life treating people like stepping stones on your way to somewhere else. Every person you meet, every interaction you have, it matters. It echoes forward in ways you'll never see." Gabriel felt tears threatening. "I've become someone I don't think I like very much." "Then become someone different," Sophia said simply. "It's not too late." "Is this a date or an intervention?" Gabriel asked with a weak smile. "Maybe it's both," Sophia replied. "Your sister thought we should meet. She worries about you, says you've lost yourself in your work. When she mentioned your name, I wondered if it could be the same Gabriel Morrison. When I saw your photo, I knew it was. So this was a setup in more ways than one. Your sister loves you. She wanted you to remember who you used to be. I wanted to. Meet the man who changed my life and thank him properly." Gabriel looked at this woman, this teacher who had carried his words for 17 years like a talisman. She had every right to be angry that he had forgotten her, but instead she sat here offering him grace. "Tell me about your life," he said quietly. "The real story. Not first date small talk. I want to know what happened after that summer." And Sophia told him. About aging out of foster care at 18, about working night shifts while attending community college, about the brief marriage that ended when she realized her husband loved the idea of fixing her more than he loved her, about the school where she taught now, in a neighborhood not unlike the one where they had met. "I have 12 students this year who remind me of who I was," she said. "Kids who are invisible to most people. I see them. I remember their names. I tell them they matter." "You're doing what I should have kept doing," Gabriel said. "You still can. It's not about grand gestures, Gabriel. It's about showing up, paying attention, remembering that everyone you meet is carrying something heavy. I've been so focused on winning cases and making partner that I forgot there was anything else," Gabriel admitted. "Then maybe it's time to remember," Sophia said. They talked through dinner and long after, the restaurant emptying around them. Gabriel asked questions and actually listened to the answers. Sophia shared stories from her classroom, the small victories and heartbreaking struggles. And slowly, Gabriel felt something shift inside him. a reconnection to a part of himself he had buried under ambition and achievement. "Can I ask you something?" Gabriel said as they finally prepared to leave. "Of course. Would you be willing to see me again? Not as a test or a lesson, but as a real date? I'd like to get to know the woman you've become, and maybe remember who I used to be." Sophia studied him for a long moment. "Why? Because in 3 hours, you've made me feel more alive than I have in years. Because you're right that I've lost myself. And because I think maybe you could help me find my way back." "I'm not your salvation, Gabriel," Sophia said firmly. "You have to do that work yourself." "I know. But maybe you could be my friend while I figure it out." Sophia smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "I'd like that." Over the next few months, Gabriel and Sophia built something real, not a romance born from blind chemistry, but a connection forged from honesty and second chances. Gabriel started volunteering again, this time at Sophia's school. He helped students with college applications, offered career advice, and learned every single name. He cut back his hours at the firm, prioritizing meaning over money. And he remembered every face, every conversation, every small moment that mattered to someone else. Sophia watched him change, not into someone new, but back into someone he had once been, the kind boy who had seen her when no one else did. Only now he was a man who understood the weight of that kindness. A year later, Gabriel stood in front of Sophia's classroom, speaking to a group of high school seniors about law school and career paths. Afterward, a quiet girl in the back row approached him with a handmade card. "Thank you for coming," she said shyly. "No one usually talks to us like we matter." Gabriel took the card carefully, recognizing the echo of his own past. "You do matter. More than you know. And I'll remember you. I promise." That night, he showed the card to Sophia. "I think I finally understand," he said. "It's not about being remembered. It's about remembering others, about seeing people and letting them know they were seen." "You've learned well," Sophia said, taking his hand. "I had a good teacher," Gabriel replied. They sat together in comfortable silence, two people who had found each other twice, once when he saved her without knowing it, and once when she returned the favor. Sometimes the most important people in our lives are the ones we meet when we're not paying attention. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get a second chance to recognize what we missed the first time. If this story of second chances and remembered kindness touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of redemption and real connection. Comment below about someone who changed your life without knowing it, or a moment you wish you had paid more attention to. Your memory might help someone else remember what matters.